Donald Trump is pissed off tonight. How do I know he's pissed off? Because he just posted a 383 word, 2,320 character diatribe on Truth Social about Jeffrey Epstein, about the Epstein file transparency act, about Democrats, and about hoax after hoax after hoax after hoax. I'm not going to go into it all. But you know it's Donald Trump because there's misspellings, there's whole ass sentences capitalized, and then just it's normal Trump. We'll just put it that way. And the thing is Donnie Boy here claims that he's the reason that Jeffrey Epstein went behind bars. And he's not wrong. Because in 2019, what the files that we have so far have made clear is Jeffrey Epstein was going to rat out Donald Trump to make sure he didn't get a second term. And Donald Trump was one of the best placed people in this whole world to make sure that Jeffrey Epstein could not talk. And it was rumored then that this was politically motivated by Donald Trump against somebody that he used to be friends with. And now, more than ever, we know that Donald Trump had Jeffrey Epstein arrested to protect Donald Trump, and for no other reason. Donald Trump was the person that benefited the most at that time in U.S. history from Jeffrey Epstein being arrested. He was in a place to have him arrested. He knew all of the secrets because he was part of all of the secrets. He also was in the best place to make sure that Jeffrey could meet the end that Jeffrey met, one way or another. So, Donnie Boy's gig is up. The world will know the truth, one way or another, within the coming year. Donald Trump is now at the end of his political career, and there's nothing that he can do to stop it. And that is evident now more than ever. But he's going to lash out now more than ever. And he will continue to blame Democrats and anybody who gets in his way and attempts to remove him from power.
The tangerine toddler doesn't seem very happy about potentially proving his innocence. Trump just signed the Epstein bill into law and is throwing an epic tantrum over on Truth Social. I think you'd be a little happier if your story was about to be proved, Donnie. I mean, come on. Be a little grateful. And Pam, darling, you have 30 days. All right. Now you can pause to read these screenshots here. He is throwing everything but the kitchen sink at this, naming prominent Democrats, blaming them, saying Mr. E was a Democrat, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Even some of the oldies but goodies, you know, the Russia hoax, because why not throw that one in there too? His base loves it. But really, we're going to see in the next 30 odd days what information actually comes out. And I would think that as Trump claims he's done nothing wrong, he'd be a little bit happier to potentially prove that story. This doesn't seem very happy to me. This doesn't seem like a calm, reassured man about to be vindicated. It's not reading that way at all. It is reading like, oh, crap.
If this orange criminal buffoon thought that by signing this Epstein release bill and then just continuing the cover-up by using this investigation, this sham investigation that they just started as a reason to continue withholding information, because this statute passed by Congress actually allows them to withhold information if it would jeopardize an ongoing investigation, which is why they announced this investigation. But if they think that just citing that investigation and continuing to withhold information from the public, that he will be able to sweep this all under the rug and just move on, he is sorely mistaken. It is not going to work. There's an article in The Hill today where Republican senators are warning Trump and Pam Bondi that they better not try that they better not use that investigation as an excuse for just withholding everything. And that if they do cite that investigation for withholding information, they better have a good reason, and it better be narrowly tailored. They better not just use it as a blanket withholding of information, and they better explain why they're withholding that information. Every single time they try to redact anything, anytime they withhold anything, that's only going to increase the scrutiny. People aren't just going to accept it. People are going to demand more. This Epstein thing is not going away. Whatever he's hiding must be really bad. Because if it wasn't, he would have just released everything. Maybe had a couple of days of bad stories written about him, bad news coverage, and he would have moved on. He has survived think of all the horrible things he survived. He could survive virtually anything because his cult is not going to abandon him. Whatever he is covering up must be really bad, that he thinks it would destroy him if it got released. That's why he's doing everything he can to cover it up. But it's not going to work. It's not going away. We're coming for you, Donnie boy. Tick-tock, bitch.
Oh, do I have some tea for you guys? Okay, so you guys remember the reporter Jamal Khashoggi. He's the one who was rather brutally disassembled at the Saudi consulate, effectively at the request of MBS, right? The Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. Okay, and then you remember how Trump was hosting him, and a reporter basically said, hey, didn't you effectively order a hit on one of our reporters? And Trump lost it and effectively said, well, Khashoggi was controversial and MBS had nothing to do with it. And, things happen. Things happen. No, spilling your coffee is things happening. Ordering that kind of a hit. Anyway, all right. So if you guys remember, I think it was in 2018 or 2019, you had Alexander Vindman, all right? And he's the one who brought it to the public's attention about Trump's call with Ukraine. That's what got Trump impeached the first time, okay? Now, he has a twin brother named Eugene Vindman, who is a Democrat from Virginia. He's a representative. And he basically said, the American people need to hear the conversation that went down privately between Trump and MBS right after that killing, where basically he and Trump were talking about how to navigate their response, because of course Trump was getting pressured to respond about what just happened to this Washington Post reporter, okay? And he said, and these are his words, I'm paraphrasing, but this is basically what he said, that the American public would be shocked to their core, and that it would be like a Ukraine 2.0 level situation, which to me means that you're implying that it's so bad that it's impeachable. Okay. So he has asked the White House to declassify these documents. And of course, it's been crickets from the White House. So that information could come out in a lot of ways because all presidential conversations are public records. There could be a FOIA request or congressional subpoena. He could declassify them. But you guys, this is just another in a long line of Trump scandals. So put a pin in it, keep it on your radar, because this one I think is getting ready to explode. Share this with a friend.
Holy smokes, it's done. It's law. Trump announced just a few minutes ago that he signed the bill to release the Epstein files, officially making it a law. What is happening? I keep going back and forth between trusting it and not. I think that there's a very, very real possibility that Trump is so narcissistic that he genuinely believes he can weasel his way out of something that he actually can't. I mean, we've seen him believe that before. And to be fair, actually, he's never been wrong because MAGA has never held him accountable for anything. Neither have Democrats, actually, on that thought. But yeah. So is it delusional narcissism, or is it kind of sadly realistic narcissism? Yes, I do believe that they have tricks up their sleeves to redact things in a way that's going to be helpful and whatnot. Possibly someone said that maybe Trump could classify everything because I don't know. However, Ro Khanna, who's the congressman behind this entire thing, he's the guy who proposed the bill, wrote the bill, introduced the bill, got the bill passed, gave an interview tonight on MS Now that made me feel a little bit more confident, in addition to the people who have sort of said this exact thing, which was even if they try to lie or mess with the files or do any, try any funny business, that there are enough people who have seen the files, namely the lawyers representing the survivors, who can actually verify if something has been tampered with unduly. That made me more confident, hearing him be so confident. But also, I just don't trust them. I don't trust them. I really hope this is hubris. I hope this is hubris because they do seem to always overestimate their actual abilities. And Why wouldn't they? Because again, no one ever holds them responsible. They do not hold each other responsible when they fall short of their assumptions of their abilities. I don't know. Could this be it? Could this be the overestimation that finally does them in? Will someone, somewhere finally hold them accountable when it doesn't work? If it doesn't work, hopefully it doesn't work. Anyway, it's law. It's law. Congratulations, everyone.
Holy shit. I'm just going to simplify another part of the swamp, Trump swamp. It is so bad. Steve Bannon's role with Epstein in the emails. So during Trump's first 4 years, there's a hearing, and Democrats are trying to connect Donald Trump to various illegal acts, including Mar-a-Lago and Ghislaine Maxwell and all kinds of stuff, right? And Jeffrey Epstein is sitting there. He's awaiting his sentencing. Like, he's already a well-known sex trafficker, and he's watching these hearings live, and he's emailing a bunch of people in real time. That's how you know who's in bed with him. But one of those is Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon's watching the hearings live, and they're just like sitting next to each other. That's how they're emailing, enjoying the hell out of it. And they're enjoying the fact that Democrats are not making the connection between Donald Trump, Ghislaine Maxwell, Mar-a-Lago, and Jeffrey Epstein, that Jeffrey Epstein's involved with all of it. And Jeffrey Epstein's like, yeah, I could totally take down Donald Trump. He was on my plane, the Lolita Express. He was on my island, little Lolita Island. I got everything to take him down. And Steve Bannon's like, yeah, isn't that funny? Blah. Steve Bannon is the same guy this year was getting ready to be sentenced for bilking Trump supporters out of over $10 million for a foundation he set up to build the wall. And instead, he spent the $10 million on himself. And he was convicted, and he was awaiting sentencing. And then Donald Trump won earlier this year and pardoned Steve Bannon. So Trump supporters love the swamp, and they love worshiping their own abusers. One more thing about Bannon. He's the architect, one of the architects behind the let's have Donald Trump write out a shit ton of executive orders and say shocking things coming out of the White House in order to leave people paralyzed and distracted and feeling hopeless, so that in the background we can do our real work, working with Project 2025 to usher in Christian white nationalism with, quote, straight, unquote, white men at the top of the hierarchy. That's Steve Bannon, the architect of that psychological approach. This is the nastiest, ugliest swamp.
More bombshell news today as Representative Eugene Vindman has called on Trump to release a call he had with MBS, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, after Jamal Khashoggi was brutally murdered. A call that he has reviewed himself when he was within the Trump White House under the first term, that he said we will likely find to be very shocking and is worse than the call Trump had with President Zelensky of Ukraine. Check it out.
Mr. Speaker, given the President's disturbing and counterfactual defense of Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman today, I feel compelled to speak up on behalf of Mr. Khashoggi and his family and the American people. During my tenure on Trump's White House National Security Council staff, I reviewed many of Trump's calls with foreign leaders. Of all the calls I reviewed, 2 stood out as the most problematic. The first, we all know, it was between President Trump and President Zelensky, which resulted in President Trump's first impeachment. The second was between President Trump and Mohammed bin Salman. After the murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi, I reviewed a call between the president and the Saudi Crown Prince. The American people and the Khashoggi family deserve to know what was said on that call. If history is any guide, the receipts will be shocking. I call on the president to release that transcript. And honestly, does anyone believe that the Zelensky call was the only problematic conversation Donald Trump had with a foreign leader?
Do you want to know what's on that call? If you do, share this video, spread it, Make sure everyone is aware of this. Put on the pressure, because the last call that he had like this with Zelensky led to Trump's first impeachment. So if this one is maybe worse, what would that possibly lead to? Guys, we need to know the truth. They need to be transparent about this. We need to know what's on that call. Like, share, spread the word, follow, subscribe, and I'll see you back here for the 411.
If you needed more proof about how this administration is using their power and influence to then influence the court and judicial proceedings, look no further than Donald Trump's attempted lawsuit on a RICO case against Hillary Clinton, researchers, James Comey. In 2022, Donald Trump and Alina Habba filed a lawsuit, a racketeering lawsuit, accusing more than 24 political figures, lawyers, researchers, and former government officials of orchestrating what he described as an unthinkable plot to spread false allegations of collusion between his 2016 presidential campaign and Russia. Number one, anybody who actually read the Mueller report would know there actually was collusion. There was collusion, just not enough to charge him criminally, according to Bill Barr. But I digress. The judge in that case was flabbergasted that they even attempted to bring such a shoddy case. The judge found that Trump's claims amounted to political grievances rather than racketeering activity, concluding the complaint was legally insufficient and foreclosed by existing precedent, and in subsequent sanctions order that he had to pay a lot of money, $1 million, and so did Alina Habba. The judge said that it did not plausibly identify a coordinated enterprise, it did not allege valid criminal predicate acts, it did not show specific and quantifiable financial harm, and it was filed outside the 4-year statute of limitations. So a 3-judge panel is looking at the case again because he's trying to reopen it and refile it because, well, he thinks that if he can get it in front of the Supreme Court, game over. And when the United States is in a position where the President of the United States is corrupt, his cabinet is corrupt, everybody around him is corrupt, and all they have to do is sue and then appeal all the way to the Supreme Court where they are guaranteed a win, that is not democracy. And the pillars of democracy have crumbled. They are gone. And if America doesn't stand up right the fuck now and say we're done with this bullshit, the way other countries do, well, then you might as well just bend over and take it.
I need you all to pause and consider what unanimous consent in the Senate means, because it's not just about this bill. It means they are united against him. Now, what this means is they now have enough people not just to impeach him, because we know he's been impeached before, twice, and remained in office. But this means they have enough people to actually try and convict him. He can now not just be impeached, not just get a little slap on the wrist, a procedural no. He can be removed from office. And now it suddenly makes sense why those Democrats so quickly voted to reopen the government. Because like I said, it was a little conspicuous that this happened when the Oversight Committee received this batch of emails that now as more and more people are combing through it and the evidence is coming to light, it's pretty clear. He's not just a PDF file. He is an overt criminal. And I know, we've been knowing. But in this landscape of political fuckery, where they have been so deeply embedded in corruption, so deeply up each other's asses for decades, this was a hard sell. Not everyone was awake and aware. Not everyone was willing to put their political careers on the line to go against him. But now, not only with this mountain of irrefutable evidence, but everything he and this administration has done this year that has been illegal, unethical, fucking dangerous as hell, to say nothing of inhumane, insane, batshit crazy, it is all stacked up. It's all stacked up, and they're ready to take him out. So let's go through some of these potential high crimes and misdemeanors. If you've been following me all year, we've been talking about them all year. Yeah, I've been calling them the threads of fate. All those different egregious and highly illegal actions that he and this administration have been undertaking this year, all of which will thread together to be the rope they hang themselves with. Because the beginning of all this, before their actions really became public, before they started openly committing these crimes, myself and other intuitives in the 4am Club, we were told and had a sense that this is going to come down to arrest, treason, illegality, and even ending up in international criminal courts. And sadly, month by month, we have seen those crimes stack up. We've seen illegal tariffs. We've seen him deploying National Guard military against his own citizens. We've seen unlawful arrests, detainments, and deportations. We've seen the caging of humans on American soil, not just without due process, but in dire and inhumane conditions. We've seen outright acts of violence and war, blowing up Venezuelan fishermen, dropping bombs in the Middle East. We've seen whistleblowers talk about what Doge was up to, taking sensitive Americans' data and sending it directly to Russia. Most recently, we've seen withholding SNAP funds, refusing to feed the people who are dependent on the government for such services. We've seen them refuse to pay government employees. And we have seen now in the courts that that money for SNAP is gone. And so are all the alleged billions that were received already through tariffs. We've also seen this president use his position to persecute people who disagree with him. And we've seen him use this position to make ungodly amounts of money. And now, with what's coming out in these emails and what will later be revealed with the release of the files, whether they attempt to redact them or not, we're going to see crimes of a far more heinous nature. But in addition to those crimes of sexual abuse, we are going to see collusion with foreign governments. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there who are really nervous that anything is going to happen now, this time. And the reason it is going to happen now is because it has reached an unignorable point, a quintessential fever pitch. And now, the Senate has spoken unanimously against him. His time has come. His days are numbered.